All right, Liam here and Verity Johnson with me, and there have been a few raised eyebrows over what the government considers a local council's core services. It appears that services like cemeteries, public toilets and animal control have not made the cut in a new bill that aims to alleviate pressure on council rates. Whakatane District Council has made a submission on the bill saying that some of the services that councils are required to provide have been left off the list. More on this, we have Councillor Nandor Tanchos with us. Hey, kia ora Nandor, thanks for being with us.
Kia ora Wallace, kia ora Liam and Verity. Nice to chat with you all.
Yeah, really good to have you on. Now, really, public toilets, public safety, cemeteries, they're not part of core services?
Look, and it's worse than that, as you said in your intro. You know, there's a number of functions. In fact, most of the functions we've highlighted in our submission are required by legislation. We absolutely have to do them. And the government is not considering them to be core services. So, you know, we already spend pretty much 100% of our capital expenditure on what they define as core services, about 75% of our expenditure across the whole organisation. And most of the rest of that 25% are things that are actually core services that we're required to do or that our community absolutely expects us to do. It's an interesting piece of legislation, I've got to say.
What's your questions, Liam?
My question is whether or not the bill is in no way prohibiting local governments from doing that, what they're actually required to do under other legislation. Seems to me like it's giving a direction as to what's to be prioritised in terms of those things where it does have discretion. Is the issue that the bill simply doesn't list everything that local government does or is required to do?
Well, for me, the problem is that it just indicates how out of touch this government is with what local government does. And, you know, the government has taken the opportunity numerous times to take swipes at local councils for example, wasting money and making poor decisions. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say this government is a great example of good financial decision-making in any case. But it's just, you know, it's just out of touch. Clearly, the people making these decisions don't really understand what local councils do and don't understand the issues that we're grappling with. And it's part of this onslaught of local government reform, RMA reform, which is coming at us. And we are having to expend huge amounts of money and staff time just to understand what's coming at us and grapple with it. And it's just... you know, it's making decision-making very difficult at a local council level.
Full disclosure, because I actually do quite a bit of work for local government, but it's funnily enough, it is at that commercial level, which are some of those nice-to-haves. But just to turn it around a bit on you, I mean, is there anything? Do you think that everything that local government does involve itself in sometimes is worthy and stuff that local government should be doing? In other words, do you think that local government should have any restrictions at all on what local government is and isn't allowed to do, or shouldn't be prioritising? Or do you think they're like little parliaments throughout the country that can do whatever they want?
Well, look, first of all, I accept that some councils have made some pretty dumb decisions at the time, but then governments make dumb decisions and so do corporations, so that's not unique. The question is, what do you do about it? I think you've got to enhance democracy. You've got to make sure that... And so one of the issues is even who can stand for council, because the practical obstacles in our district, for example, to kind of younger people with different ideas standing for council, it's just about impossible because the pay is so low. You can't raise a family on the pay account. It's like $30,000 for a basic councillor in Whakatane. So, you know, unless you've got your own business or independent income, you really can't do it because you can't. The workflow is so lumpy. You can't do it with a job. So we've got to enhance democracy. And then the other thing is, I think we've got to look at how do we support more longer-term decision-making for councillors, because councils often make poor decisions because of what's electorally popular and often grapple with making the tough decisions that are required but the community sometimes doesn't understand. That's a real challenge.
Let's bring Verity in. So some of the core services that are considered not core include Verity, community safety, animal control, road safety, building consenting, monitoring and certifying food premises, liquor licensing, annual reports, audits, bylaws review and enforcement, local policies, noise control. Your thoughts?
That's just absolutely insane that that's not considered core requirements. Things like liquor licensing and food hygiene and animal pest control and that's all local council responsibility. But I'm also like public toilets. I'm not entirely sure if that's not considered a need to have, then what is it? But I'm actually curious, Nandor, on a deeper level. You mentioned that this is coming through, and you said that basically the people who are sending this legislation through do not understand the core requirements of local council. I was curious as to whether, do you think the whole artificial separation of need to have and nice to have is actually part of this bigger ploy to sort of use kind of like wokeness and this kind of culture war kind of, let's talk about culture wars as a way of distracting everybody from what's actually going on? Because it sounds to me like they've gone through and classified a bunch of stuff as nice to have, and under the guise of, well, we're just being sensible and practical and trying to cut down on extremities. Is that what you think's happening?
Oh, look, I totally agree. I mean, first of all, I think the attacks on local government are absolutely a way of diverting attention from the poor decision-making being made by central government. One of the things in this bill is they're removing the reference to well-beings, and that's an interesting thing for me because really everything that council does is about the well-being of our community. So when we do road maintenance, the reason we do it is it's about connecting people. So it has social outcomes, it has cultural outcomes, it has economic outcomes. The reason why we do water pipes is because of health and safety and cultural issues, to support businesses because you need running water to do commerce, So even at the most basic kind of hard infrastructure level, everything is really about the well-being of our community, because if it's not, why the hell are we even doing it?
All right, Nandor, much more to say on this, but for now, kia ora. Appreciate your time today.